So how you locked in?
Well, man, my man, I gotta give him props, bro. My man had enough. I don't know. I don't know if it's like courage, bravery,
Hubris.
hubris to be like, hey, yo, I'm gonna order soup at a beach and eat that. You remember that, bro?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, bro. When they were in Mexico, my man was like, AD was like, oh, okay, like I'll get this, like a salad or something like that. And my man was like, oh, I'll get this, like I don't know, like this lamb soup on like a 90-degree weather. And my man like smooth just eating it. Like I gotta give my man props on that. I say I'm locked in like Clay. I'm locked in like Clay.
He had to keep the physique right. He had to keep his head right for the scenario. Because he knew he was about to gas like the fuck out of her and waste the next 2 months of her life. Get her all the way up to the altar and be like, yo, you're a great woman, but I told you I'm locked in.
What the fuck you said? I'm rocking with you.
I'm rocking with you, but I ain't rocking.
But I ain't rocking. Who says that? Anyway, welcome to the Ultimate Counseling Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm your boy Jermaine,
and this is Martin.
And today we're gonna do some do a little checking, like like they had to do with AD afterwards. Just a little check in to see how we doing. This is gonna be the mental health check in episode. #Malibu.
Also, it's a perfect month because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, what better time than today to kind of lock in, check in on ourselves, and see where we are in a mental state? Because, a lot of changes happening, a lot of things are different from where we were even a month ago, right?
Right.
Like, I hear that you're in the dating scene again?
Yes, I'm in the dating scene again, and it's rough.
Is it?
It's rough. I didn't know, like, what I was getting into or whatever, or at least if I was, like, I would say I was ready, but I didn't know, like, what was going to entail. Like, well, one, like, dating's, like, hella expensive, bro.
Bro, I can imagine.
It's hella expensive, especially like first dates and stuff like that. You paying, and in our city, bro, like the prices it don't match, bro. It really don't. Like you asking me for tip, on top of the fact you charge me, I don't know, feel like 50% on the damn drink. Like, bro, like how does an $8 drink on page, right, on the menu, come up before tip $11?
That doesn't make sense.
How does that make sense?
Is there like a liquor tax or something?
I think it's a liquor tax.
A liquor tax. Does they do that in DC?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And I was like, oof.
Also, where are you going where a drink is $8? That's cheap. You getting a beer.
I'm getting a beer.
You have to get a beer.
Bro, it's $15 for a cocktail.
Cocktails are too fucking expensive now. Like, I think that's why the going out culture has died a lot because it's too expensive. We can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Even when we went out a couple weekends ago to Arlington and just to go chill, it was still like, what I got this Miller Lite or a Bud Light, and I feel like I'm spending like $8-9 for a beer.
Right. It's hard when you can just kind of chill in your own place and get a whole case for $16, and you spending half of that on one drink.
On one drink.
It doesn't make sense.
Not match the food, but yeah, bro. Like dating, like has definitely put my like mental health on, rattled me. On top of that, like work stuff, housing stuff. I told you, like they fucking digging up my house, like not digging up the house, but the driveway. And I don't have AC on one of the hottest weeks of the spring. I guess I feel like it's
still spring. It's summer. Oh wait, it might be summer now.
No, summer's in June.
You're right. It's like June 21st or something like that.
But yeah, the hottest spring.
It's 85 today.
Yeah, 85 today.
It's gross out there.
It feels great in here, but when I go back home, it's gonna be like a sauna. So
I was wondering why you was lingering. We started a little later. You kind of lingered. You got a little comfortable. You were like, spread it out. You got too comfortable. I was like, bro, you don't live here. Don't get too comfortable. I mean, you can stay, but this you gotta go.
Yeah. But that is to say, like in times like this, when like the world's like throwing you haymaker after haymaker, you don't know what's going on. You gotta get back to basics. You gotta go back and figure out like what's causing stress, what's causing sadness, anxiety, or whatever. Like you mentioned earlier this week that you were going through it as well.
Yeah, this week, I don't know what happened. I feel like life just hit me all at the same time. Between work being at the busiest time of the year, we have stuff coming up with the baby. The baby's healthy, everything was great, but it's just like in the back of my head, I was like, okay, I need this plan for this baby. Like the baby shower, make sure we baby proof the house, make sure that we're saving for the house too. And speaking of houses, making sure we're saving enough money for the house, checking in on people who owe us money. Shout out to you, British Airways. You finally came through and paid us.
Breaking their knees.
Bro, British Airways had our flight get canceled for our last anniversary. How do we just get the money back right before our next anniversary?
You're kidding.
They held on to that money. Like, they held it until we reached that again. I was like, all right, it's been 12 months. What the fuck happened?
Bro, wait.
Actually, it wasn't even 12. It was like 10 months since they responded saying, oh, we're going to reimburse you based on UK law. We owe you this money. We're going to give it to you. Isn't that in like October? So I was like, I'm going to be patient. Came up to New Year. I was like, it takes some time. Then we went and bought the house, and I was like, all right, we got to get on this. So we need the money quickly. We're trying to save for a 20% down payment on the $640,000 condo.
Ooh.
I was like, we need every penny we can get. All right, let me hit them up. They finally sent the money. We're good on that front.
All right, good.
But the fact is, I took on a lot more than I think I really could handle this year. And it's just like a really stressful time. So as I was telling you, I finally got back to journaling.
Okay.
That's been helpful. I didn't do it yesterday. And maybe that's why I feel kind of down today. A little bit.
Right.
I got out of my routine a little bit, but I got back to running in the morning, getting up at 5:30, getting outside, getting some sun. I think vitamin D helps getting out there.
I was just not doing that. Waking up earlier and go on a run.
Oh, that's great. Because you can't do it when it gets later in the day. It's too hot. So getting out there when it's like in the 50s, give or take, it's good. And yeah, and just being more involved and active with my wife and just talking to her more and being more transparent. I think those things help. And then obviously reaching out to you and Catherine to say, hey, this is what's going on. And, I kind of have to self-regulate there. Like, I know I was sending messages to you guys, but I was also working through my issues while talking. I was like, well, I'm feeling bad. Like, my diet's been shit. I've been drinking a lot. And I need to get back to working out. So I went for a run this morning, and I'm feeling a little bit better. Let's see if I can stay. Like, how do you go about self-regulating when you're in those like low places? Like I didn't have the big sad. Right. I had like the minor sad.
The minor sad.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I always go back to like baseline. I always try to be like before even like figuring out what caused the sad. Like why am I going through this? Like I had anxiety a couple of weeks ago, which I never really had anxiety before, and I was like, okay, like, why am I having this anxiety? But even before that, because things get cloudy. If you're not working out, I realize, I'm not working out. I realize, I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep a night. I realize, I'm not working out. I get 4 hours of sleep, and literally I drank like it was like the wedding. Like literally every single day after the wedding, I was drinking. It wasn't heavy drinking like we used to do in the drink, but even like. Shout out to Aaron McRoy. Even like one beer or one shot or something like just to celebrate because I was like it was like during like after Cinco de Drinko around that time or whatever, and I was like, well, I didn't celebrate it, so I'm gonna get a tequila shot and stuff like that. I bought all this liquor and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try mixology and stuff, but it's probably fine if you already you're in a good headspace. But since I wasn't getting enough sleep. Since I skipped all my workouts, I wasn't running as much. It was just a slow decline in things that I couldn't explain was making me feel really bad. But once I got to sleep, once I stopped drinking as much, and once I like actually worked out and stuff, then I was like, okay, my levels are good. I got water, like it's like you just got to get to the simple stuff. And then I was like, oh, that's the problem. Like I'm anxious because I'm starting to this dating stuff. I'm anxious because my the stuff I needed done before my mentor meeting hasn't been done yet.
So you were procrastinating.
I was procrastinating, yeah.
Which adds to the stress. On top of like the drinking that leads to more anxiety and.
Oh, it's great in the moment. Like you don't care in the moment. Like it's like those. Like I think this is when I realized like I was like it's those quiet moments. When like everyone, you're not around friends or everything's quiet, you're up at night and whatever. That's when the stuff comes.
That's when reality hits.
That's when
you don't have any more distractions, so it's just to yourself and your thoughts, and you're just like, damn, I don't have it all figured
Right.
out. Like, I'm not there. So I hear where you're coming from. Those moments can be really hard, and kind of something you talk through it a little bit, and something you talk about a lot is sometimes we do that little why thing, like, why am I feeling this way? And I think that's one of the things that really helped me self-regulate. I'm like, why do I feel this? Oh, I got it out of my routines. I got it out of my habits.
Right.
I've talked about this, but I think I said it to you guys, or maybe I said it to my wife. I don't know who I said it to. But some of the happiest times recently have been when I was exercising and when I was running and training for the marathon. I had stuff to look forward to. I felt better than the world. Like, I feel like getting up in the morning and working out, you already won the day.
Okay.
When you don't have that, well, for me, I can't speak for everybody else. Everybody, I don't want to pressure everybody to say, if you don't work out, you ain't shit. I mean, I sometimes feel that way. Way, but I had to go with that mentality. My rest days, like today, I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel bad. Even still, I just thought about it today, actually. I'm spiraling. But I just thought of it today. Even on my rest days, I still want to get up in the morning and just go for a walk outside.
Yeah.
Just to start that circadian rhythm, get me into that process of getting used to just keep getting up and just going outside. Feeling the fresh air, rain or shine, and just experiencing that. I think that's helpful. I think everyone in general needs to be outside more.
I agree. I think be outside more and, like you said, work towards something. But as we're talking about, like, the whole getting to understand your whys and, like, looking, because a lot of stuff that bother us, either you're out of your routine, you're working too hard. Like, I've seen a lot of people spiral because they, like, feel like they need it. It's like Alexander Hamilton, right? When they say you run out of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I see a lot of people, like, because it's like they want to do so much, and that was another thing too. I wanted to do so much. I was like, oh, I'm going to get my portfolio ready. Oh, I'm going to do this tennis lesson. Oh, I need to sign up for this. Oh, I need to make sure I do these. And then it's like I'm trying to fill up time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to figure out why I was trying to fill up time. Like, why? Like, yeah, I want to do this stuff, but I was ignoring, again, the basics. Like, I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not doing all this stuff, and then all that stuff's on me. So seeing that and asking those whys, but I always will say, like, if you guys are going because of Mental Health Awareness Month, like, if you're going through something, whatever, first take time, like you said, even go outside. Like, literally, just if you go outside and just get some sun, walk or whatever, get some sleep, eat, and then I feel like that's where the magic starts happening, because you can start asking questions. Because nothing like these things, anxiety, depression, big sad, little sad, whatever. Because now it's like we're out of the sads era. Mm-hmm. Well, there was 1 week last week where it was like super cloudy.
Oh yeah, I mean we're gonna get bad weather. You know what? And that's another thing for me. Mm-hmm. I whenever there's like a cloudy day, rainy day, my mood is just shot. Like, there's nothing that's going to make me feel better unless I found out I just go outside and deal with it. Mm. Like, if I go out for a ride in the rain, I'm like, I'm sick. I'm not sick, but I'm just got mucus. Whatever. It is what it is. I'll fix it. I'll fix it later. But I'll get it in post.
You're going to get it in post. It's all good. No, you go ahead.
But yeah, if I just get outside, even if the weather's bad, like, I feel way better. I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, the day doesn't have to be a bad day just because it's raining, just because it's cloudy. You can still enjoy your day.
Right.
And it's just like that, kind of that immersion therapy. If you just put yourself in that environment, you're gonna realize that the world isn't that bad. I mean, that goes with everything. Mm-hmm. Like, if you put yourself exposure therapy. That's the word. Exposure therapy.
Right.
Like, if you were, I'm afraid of heights.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I'm still working through it. I'm terrified of heights.
Right.
So, like, going to the Space Needle in Seattle and just standing up there and looking down, yeah, it's going to make you uncomfortable, but you also have to realize that you're going to be okay. It's been standing up there for how long now? What are the odds that it just falls? Very slim to none. You're in a lighthouse, not as high, obviously. That's like slower, like way lower. You're in a lighthouse. Where were we? I think we were at Martha's Vineyard or something like that. And we were in a lighthouse at the top, and I was looking down. I was like, "Ooh, my God!" I don't know how to explain the feeling of being scared. It's like, so when I don't know the right words. Because like I fear, it's not the fear of falling. It's the fear of like my brain saying, "You won't," and then like, jumping off.
I never understood. I've heard that multiple, like from other people. It's like when I'm on a ledge, I just want to jump, and I'm like, what?
It doesn't make sense. Like I know that life ceased to exist. I'm unalive.
Right.
I don't want to be unalive, but something is just like that free feeling. And maybe I just need to skydive just to have that experience, even though I'm terrified of that too. But it's just, I don't know, it just feels free. But I guess you're free of everything. I'm not going to endorse jumping off ledges, but you're just free of everything.
Oh, it could be, and this is like speculation. We are not psychologists. We're just friends trying to give y'all advice. I think it's my thoughts is that it's a free, like when you say it's free, it's like it's like a form of the ultimate form of letting go.
Yeah.
And since we're like through our life, like especially when you're going through something, you want to have control over that, and especially like people that want to suffer in silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then like I've done it before where I'm like, oh, okay, well I'm not going to talk to anybody about this, or I got to pay a therapist to do it, or whatever. Like having conversations like this is therapy, but it's like the vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to let go of that, like, oh, I can handle it, versus sharing it with somebody else, sharing the load. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think like a lot of people when they are going through like anxiety, depression, or whatever, they would rather hold on to that than reach out for help?
I think human nature,
or they don't know how.
Well, I think human nature is that people don't want to show weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people asking for help in society in general just comes off as like, hey, you can't figure it out yourself. You can't do it. You're a weak person. And that's something that we've talked about before in this podcast, that, you know, working through those feelings of not being able to reach out, not being able to ask for help. Like, I've gotten way better at it. If I'm like in a down space, now I can just reach out, send a quick text like, yo guys, I'm not, like, something's off.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to figure it out, but it was like, you know, that if I'm not bringing the same energy, this is what's going on. And then through that, hearing other people like, oh, this is what I did, or I feel the same way, I've been through that same thing, it makes me, it's kind of like a human moment. You're just like, oh, it's not just a me thing. Other people are going through this too.
Yeah.
And it's like that sense of community, like misery loves company. But in this instance, it's not really the misery that you're enjoying. It's just to know that you're accepted. The way you feel is acceptable.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, I think at least for me, when I go through, or you're just like, you asked me today, like, yo, how did dating scene go? And I was like, bro, let me tell you about it. Like, before, I would used to be like, okay, I'm going to hold this to myself because I don't want other people to think poorly of me, or think, because you automatically jump to like, oh, I don't have it together. Maybe like romantically, financially, or like employment, anything, like your diet, whatever. Like people don't want to have, because they don't want to seem like they don't have it together. Like other people, oh, they got it together. Why would I bring it up to them? Like before even asking the question, they already made the judgment to themselves.
I mean, a lot of people hide and lie what they're really going through. Mm-hmm. So someone can look like they have it all together on the out, like just from visual appearance. You're just like, oh, they're excited about their job. They're doing what they want to do. They go on trips all the time.
Right.
They got all this money, and you're just comparing yourself, and you're just like, I don't measure up, so I'm not going to tell them my vulnerabilities, my flaws, because, you know, I don't want to be the problem.
Right. And at the end of the day, once you're vulnerable and like you tell your piece, like it's like open up and say, like I bet like when you were like, I'm gonna message them, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna put this out there, and you kind of got to it, that was like probably one of the best sleeps for a while because you didn't have that on your mind.
Yeah, it definitely helped, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I had something typed and I was like, delete. I ain't gonna send that. I need to talk to somebody.
Right.
I'm like, I ain't no bitch.
Yeah, I wonder, like, why do we self-regulate? Like, why do we? It's like it is the whole thing. I don't want to see. Like you said, I don't want to see. Mm-hmm. Like we self-regulate, even though the first action you do is probably the best action. Yes, because it's the gut instinct. This is what I've been trying to figure out. It's like why is the first thing like my gut is normally the right thing, and then I try to either listen to what other people say, for even though I know the answer, I want them to tell me.
You want validation.
I want either validation or them to tell me different. I want them to either change my mind or something, because maybe it's something I don't like. You know,
Kanye's guy changed my mind. You ever seen that little meme where the dude sit at the table and like, changed my mind?
Yeah. But no, like that to me is like very, very important. Is like to reach out to community, because you don't want to be alone in a bubble. Like if you're going through it, like send a text out. Like if you don't got a community, like if you're close to your family or whatever, hopefully you got a community. Like that's one big thing. Like if you don't got a community, you got to find a community. But you got friends, family that want the best from you. They don't want you to like suffer in silence. No one wants to. But what's your thoughts?
No, you just reminded me, and this is completely outside of the scope. I mean, not completely, but partially out of the scope. I don't know if we ever did an episode on how you make friends. But something that happened when I went to pick you up from the elevator was I was getting in the elevator. This guy had a suitcase, and he was into the elevator. He pressed the button. I got in with him. He's like, "Yo, what's up?" And I'm like, "Yo." He's like, "My name's CJ. What's your name?" Actually, his name was CJ. I was like, "Yo, I'm Marty." He's like, "Yeah, I just moved in. Like, I'm on the 4th floor." And I'm like, "Overshare." In my head, I'm like, "Overshare." But I was like, oh, he's trying to build some kind of community. I think it was like another black person. I mean, I'm not going to say we don't have a lot of them here, because we do have a lot of black people here. But it was just like another black person that was like, oh, cool. It's like a human moment. We don't have to have a nigga moment. Like,
right.
We can be friendly. We can be cordial. And it just struck me as like, oh, he's trying to build this community. And, I even felt like, peace out. Like, yo, I see you around the area. Like, if you're in the gym, just can't say what's up. Like, we had that kind of communication. It was cool. I mean, it's very, like, surface. Like, you're not getting deep. I just met the dude.
Right.
But it was just, like, him doing the outreach and trying to build that community. I'm like, oh, you know what? You're not limited to the people you met historically, like, back in college or high school or your family. You can build community anywhere.
Right. It's like how to let people in. Like, I had a similar experience at work where, like, outside my department, there's been other people around. Like, I say hi to everyone. I'm a nice dude or whatever. Probably a little bit, like, people are like, why are you smiling all the time?
Why are you smiling? Stop being happy.
Why are you happy?
Life sucks.
Right. But, like, there's one of these dudes, this dude at my job that I met off-site. We had an off-site where our whole team, our whole department went out, like, whatever. And I got to talk to him, like, randomly at the off-site. And ever since then, he was like, it was like, he would, like, try to talk to me and stuff like that. And before, and I was like, that's weird, bro. We had, like, a drink during, like, a company event. Why are you trying to do, like, we're not even on the same team. But it's that similar thing. Like, my man put himself out there to be like, okay, I want to connect with this dude, whatever. Like, and I don't know. It's like this whole thing of, like, it's like people want connection, but at the same time, they want to, like, hide that, like, they're like, oh, but not you. Or, like, I got no new friends like Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think the part of that is true, because, like, the way that my man came at me, like, I felt trapped. Like, I felt like he came to me while I'm in the elevator. I can't leave. Like, I can't escape the situation.
Baby reindeered you.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, can I have some coffee, some tea? You want some tea? I don't have any money.
It's on the house.
It's on the house. Right?
He's like, he's my best friend now.
Right, so now I feel like I'm going to see this dude everywhere I go now. He's going to be like, yo, Martin, right? What's up? I'm like,
oh, look, man, yeah, that's the thing, bro. When you making friends, it's the builder, bro. It's the slow creep.
There's the build up to it, but the immediate thought that I had when you were just talking about it was, this is probably how some women feel when guys are at the bar. They don't want that attention, and they just come up to you. Like, I wasn't expecting it. I'm not looking for any friends.
Right.
I'm just out here just enjoying life. And I had somebody else come to me like, yo, what's up? How you doing? My name is so and so. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to get the mail and pick up my boy. Like,
right.
Like, I feel like the environment wasn't the moment to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just
that's funny because, like, since I'm going through a lot of stuff at home with my, like, situation with the Pipers, Like I had neighbors.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah,
It was obvious. I had neighbors that like I would say hi on occasion. Like a neighbor came to my door. I think it's a millennial thing, bro. Because like when people knock on my door, I'm like Jehovah Witness, police, or someone trying to sell me something. Like it's like either of those. But then it was like neighbors like, oh hey, this is like you got a package here, and I'm like, why don't you just leave it at the front? Like you don't have to talk to me. But my neighbor came and was like, oh, I got a parking spot. Like you can use my parking spot. I'm not gonna be parking there. I'm in the garage. You got it for X time. And I was like, but that's not. All I did was say hi, and then she proceeded to have like a 5 or 6 minute conversation with me. And I put my hand on the door, and I'm like, I can just close the door. But it could be that like we have that whole like new friends thing. It could be a millennial thing because I know my parents like they knew all their neighbors.
Really?
Well,
actually, you're right. Because my mom was the same way. She knew both the neighbors. She still talks to them to this day.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, you know what Miss Brenda did? I'm like, what? I didn't know Miss Brenda was still alive.
Right.
Like, is she fine? She's like, yeah, she fell down the stairs the other day. So I went over there. I took her to the hospital. I'm like, you that close? Like, y'all taking her to the hospital? Like, what is going on?
Our neighbor invited us to their wedding, and I was like, but it was like I was like, oh yo, that's Mr. Mac. Like he was like, I mean, you can't do that shit nowadays because we were locked outside our house, and my man was like, hey, because he was cutting the grass. I was like, can I use your phone to call my mom? He was like, yeah, sure. Call my mom. My mom was like, yeah, sure. You can stay at Mr. Mac's house until. So my man gave us like snacks and water and stuff. I was like, nowadays people are like, nope, can't do that. I'm on my way. Like you staying outside, you don't go anywhere near a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was different times back then, man.
It was different times.
The internet ruined stuff.
I mean, there's creepy people all over the place. You don't know who's a sexual. Now you can see who's a sexual predator.
Oh yeah.
Or a sexual offender.
Sex offender?
Sex offender?
Sexual predator, sex offender. Same thing.
Yeah, that's a website now. So you can see your neighbors. Yeah, I mean, if people have kids, a lot of parents want to know. And that's something that's on my back of my mind. I'm like, all right, so wherever community we live in, like, I need to know where the sexual offenders are. Are there anyone in our community that's gives me the ick, for lack of better terms?
All the red dots around.
All the red dots, like the first apartment next to me, or next kind of red dot. I'd be like, ooh. You get homeschooled.
Right.
You get homeschooled. I can't have you out there in these streets.
You ain't leaving. All right. Sorry for off the topic. But, like, I mean, community, it is important when it comes to your mental health and mental stability. But, I mean, I think it's just understanding where you lacking. Like, have you drank your water today?
Mm-hmm.
Have you exercise or ate well or whatever.
You know one way to get water in the morning?
What?
If the Brita is filled, then you could just get water first thing in the morning. Most of the time I'll wake up and there ain't no water in the Brita. I talked about that last week. Marriage is hard. But something you talked about before the podcast that I did want to touch on this episode is kind of in the same realm of community is a lot of people are struggling or debating whether or not they want kids, and a lot of people are leaning towards kids are. I don't know if it's just they're too expensive, but a lot of people are all about this dink life. So
right.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So dink, if y'all know what dink is dual income, no kids, and it's like I don't know if it's trending as much on TikTok, but before it was, and I had a conversation with some coworkers today where I was like, it's to me like. If you don't want to have kids, I feel like that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Probably shouldn't have kids. If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids, right?
Use protection.
Or
pull out.
Or pull out, or vasectomy, whatever comes first. Or tube side. But
that's very inclusive.
I gotta get all the connections. I list all the other forms.
Birth control.
I list all the forms of contraception.
Abortion. Okay.
Yes. I mean, but that being said, like. With the dink thing, like because I see a lot of Zoomers, like Gen Zers and stuff, like, oh, kids are expensive. I'm gonna lose my independence, and we talked about this in our Kids Are Not episode. We'll leave a link in that if you guys want to listen to that. But they were like, oh, it's too expensive. I'm losing my independence. Blah 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 blah. and it's like this whole thing of like either they're also called like it's like the no child people call like people that have kids like birthers.
Birthers?
Yeah, birthers.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
This is new to me.
This is all Reddit. This is birthers.
So
birthers.
Parents are now birthers.
Yeah, birthdays because like, oh, why are you bringing kids in? Like, you know, they're just because they see us like antinatalists. That's what they're called, antinatalists. Bro, it gets the rabbit hole goes deep. Like the rabbit hole goes real deep.
So are they like discriminating against people who have kids?
Yeah, because they're like, oh man, why are they bringing kids to this restaurant? Or oh, why are they always like they need a kid only flight? You know, like like the cruise, like adult only cruise, and then only adult only flight, so no kids.
Bro, if you want to pay to not hear my kid, you better fly first class. I ain't paying first class.
But they're saying y'all gotta pay.
No,
because you had kids and you're disrupting the peace.
The peace comes wherever. Hey, listen, that's your problem. It's not my fault that you can't tolerate my kid. Like it's. I'm not gonna put my life on pause because you're uncomfortable. Oh my god, you have to get me angry.
No, it's true.
No. Let me rap.
Go ahead, speak your truth.
And I see a lot of people who come to the restaurants with their kids. I hate other people's kids, so I get where they're coming from.
Right.
I don't hate kids in general. I don't think people who have babies are bad people. But like sometimes kids are gonna be shits, and I know initially before having kids, my first thought was like, yo, you need to learn how to take care of your kids. You need to learn how to watch your kids. But kids are gonna be kids. You can't control that. Like you don't want to deprive them of the experience of flying, or deprive them of the experience of going to a restaurant, because they need to learn how to behave in those environments. They're not going to learn if they're not in those environments. Because when they get older, they become assholes who don't tip, or they become assholes who talk bad to the waiter. Like those people who act like that are people who didn't grow up going into these places. They don't know how to, or they're single children.
That's true.
They don't know how to share. They don't know how to interact, and that's something that's happening a lot in college, because a lot of like only children are going to college. They're supposed to have roommates, and they're always having issues because they never had to share a space, never had to do anything collaboratively. So if you're not socializing your kids at a young age, they're not going to know how to socialize as an adult.
Right.
So fuck y'all who say you can't bring a kid anywhere, because we're embarrassed too, but we need to do it. We need to have a life too. And I chose to have a kid. I know I chose this, but now y'all gotta suffer. You know what? Just suffer. Just suffer.
To me,
that bitch.
Right. And to me, like, since I've always wanted kids, like, I always wanted to be a dad. But even then, like, even in my early to mid 20s, when I was on an airplane, I'm like, oh god, these kids like screaming. I found like an interesting. Well, I think it was like a scientific like study on it. I gotta look it up. Y'all gonna come at me though. But it's like once you reach a certain age, like around your like late 20s, early 30s, when a child cries, it changes from annoyance to like it's still like a form of annoyance, but it's like your animal brain like clicking in, like, oh, a child's in danger. Because like, it's like back when we were in caveman times, and it was like community. So I was like, oh, the baby's crying, like, oh, we gotta get together because you want to protect the offspring because they can't survive on their own until they're like 18.
And at this day and age, until they're 30.
They're 30, you're right. But like to me, like if you want to have money, because I get it, bro. Like childcare, especially in this economy and stuff, is expensive. I completely understand. If that's your choice. You want to have kids, cool. Like, cause like I'm going on these like dating sites and stuff. People are like, oh, well, I don't know, whatever, and I'm like. That I know, but you gotta be intentional on what you want. Like, if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. If you don't want to have kids for money, I get it. Either if you want more money, different career, or live in what's a flower state?
Kansas. Kentucky.
Nebraska.
All the flyover states.
All the flyover states. Because no one's living there, or in the countryside or whatever. Like you know, if you're living in a metropolitan area, like you're gonna more likely. Like I saw on the news, they were talking about how child rates in the world are going down now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you can't afford them.
you can't afford them, and also like you don't have to like have so many kids to work the farm anymore because not everyone got the farm, or you gotta be like, well, we gotta roll the dice. Someone gonna get malaria. You know what I'm saying? Like now
Especially
you're like,
the anti-vax thing going on.
well, that might change.
Maybe it might change.
Well, the birth to death.
Hmm.
But like to me, like I feel like the debate on either the, as they like to call it, the anti-natalists called the birthers, like the people that's pro children, like want to have kids. You don't gotta like shit on the people that don't want to have kids, and vice versa. Like if you don't want to have kids, why are you shitting on people that want to have a family? Like mind your own damn business.
Yeah.
Like to me, like if you don't want to have kids, you probably don't. All right, this is gonna be shots fired. I don't want to say it. I'm gonna say it anyway. You probably won't be great parents if you don't. If you don't want to have kids, that's something in your body that's like, I don't want this responsibility. That's really comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean,
why would you want to raise something for 18 years and then they hate you?
One of the things that I think people don't think about when it comes to not having children is like what their life is going to be like when they get older. Because most of America ain't healthy.
No.
They're not taking care of themselves. And that's like, it's not like I don't want to have a kid so I can continue my pursuit of fitness or stay active and do all these things. It's like I want to travel, eat, and do what I want and not have any other responsibilities. I'm an adult. That's enough. Like,
right.
My life's hard enough. But like when you get into that like later stages of life, 60s and 70s, and you have no one to take care of you, and your husband dies or whatever, your wife dies, like what are you gonna do?
I mean, you can go off in the sunset, get a ranch.
No, you're gonna die alone.
You're gonna
die.
Get cats.
You're gonna die alone. Like there's, it's sad. It's sad.
Right.
It's sad. But you're more than likely just gonna die alone unless you have like nieces and nephews or someone who's coming to check in on you. But more than likely, you're just gonna die alone, and that's to me is not a life that I want. I mean, God forbid my kid hates me because you know history likes to repeat. So
well, no, well you learn from your mistakes or the mistakes of your father.
Yeah. Whoa, shots fired.
No, your forefathers.
I could be talking about my mom.
Okay. You could be talking about the four parents.
Four parents in general. But
we're looking at you, Martha Washington. I re-listened to Hamilton. You were in the story.
Stop it. But yeah, like I think, but kind of going back to what you said, if you don't like kids, you don't want kids. It's fine. I don't have any animosity towards you for not wanting to have kids. I just know for me personally, I think my life, once you've done all the things, like if you have the money to do these things, once you've done all the things, it's going to be like, what's keeping you excited about life? Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, not having anything going on outside of myself is going to get boring. Mm-hmm. And that's when I'm not going to have any passion anymore. I'm not going to have anything really to look forward to. It's just going to be going through the motions. And I kind of see that with my in-laws. Mm-hmm. I think like they've done all the things. They've seen all the things. Now they're like, all right, now let's get these grandkids. Let's get that experience. Like, let's have those moments and enjoy those times. And like this, it just keeps you. I think it keeps you alive. Okay. It makes you feel alive at least. Right. Even if you like go the adopting route, like it's still a way of you saying like, okay, I have an offspring that I'm caring for, and they're doing these new cool things, and you're just like, it's like, oh my god, they took their first steps. Oh my god, they asked me about the birds and the bees that used to be birds and the birds used to be bees and all that stuff. Like, I think that having a kid, if you can afford it, is worth it. And you need to plan to have kids. You can't, you having kids by accident and not having a plan, or if you have a kid and you think you have a plan, you don't have a plan, don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it. You heard it here first. Let us know what you guys think. Don't come at us about the fact that I call antinatalists or birthers or whatever. If you want to be a dink, be a dink. If you want to have kids, make sure you save for it. But where can they send these comments? Oh, and let us know their thoughts. Where can they send it at?
Honestly, listen.
PSA.
P.S. Just tell me you're irresponsible if you don't want to have a kid. All right, so you can find us at Unsolicited Counseling Podcast on Facebook. You can find us at Unsolicited Counseling on Instagram and YouTube. And you can shoot us an email at youadvicepodcast@gmail.com.
Awesome, guys. And always, we love you guys. Hear you guys. One drink at a time. one episode at a time. Be easy, y'all.
Latest.